Welcome, Heat Seekers, to a new series I've put together bringing you hot takes for fantasy football here in the 2022 season. The idea for this series isn't to say said player is going to undoubtedly finish wherever we say they are, just that this is one possibility out of their range of outcomes for the 2022 season. So in this first episode, it's just going to be me talking, but going forward, I have guests from great fantasy sites coming in to give their top hot take for the 2022 season. Here in the first episode, I'm going to be talking about Tampa Bay Buccaneers tight end Cameron Brate. I think that there is a possibility that Cameron Brate could finish as a top 5 or 6 tight end on the season. And while that might sound crazy to most because, well, he hasn't ever finished there, he was highly utilized by Tom Brady. When you think about how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers team has been put together over the past 2 seasons, obviously Rob Gronkowski, the Hall of Famer, O.J. Howard, a first-round draft pick, with Cameron Brate. Despite that, Cameron Brate was still highly utilized by Tom Brady. And going into 2022, you look at the depth chart and you're featuring guys like Cade Otton, a rookie, no stats in the NFL. Kieft, I don't even know his name, no stats in the NFL. The next tight end is Cody McElroy, who has 2 targets and 1 reception in his 2-year career. Cameron Brate is easily the most trusted tight end that Tom Brady has this season. So with those players on the depth chart having a total of 2 targets and only 1 reception, it is easy to see that Cameron Brate is going to be the tight end focus for Tom Brady in this 2022 season. On top of that, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are missing Chris Godwin for the start of the season. Going back to 2021, Cameron Brate was highly utilized in the red zone. He was actually 10th in the entire NFL and 4th at tight end with red zone usage with 20 targets. To put that into perspective, Rob Gronkowski only had 12. So you could say that just a year ago, with Gronkowski and O.J. Howard on the roster, Brate was already the preferred red zone tight end, while Rob Gronkowski was between the 20s tight end. We shouldn't see that part of Cameron Brate's usage go away this year with these young tight ends coming in. Despite ranking 57th in snap share, he ranked 24th in targets, 12th in touchdowns, and number 4 in red zone targets at the position. With the barren depth chart, it's easy to assume that his snap share will significantly improve. On top of that, you still have Chris Godwin, who is sidelined and potentially sidelined for at least 6 weeks if he ends up on the PUP list. So right now it looks like Russell Gage, the new acquisition at wide receiver, and Mike Evans, obviously a stalwart at wide receiver for Tampa Bay Buccaneers, are the only competition that Cameron Brate has for targets, and more significantly, him and Evans are probably by far the 2 most preferred red zone targets for Tom Brady in 2022. We already know that Tampa Bay is going to throw the ball a lot. They have thrown the ball a lot since acquiring Tom Brady. They threw it a lot before Tom Brady got there with Jameis Winston. This bodes well for Cameron Brate because if his snap share is going to increase, his routes run are going to increase, and he's still going to have that red zone usage that Tom Brady showed he was comfortable using Cameron Brate in last year. There is no reason why Cameron Brate can't hit 100 plus targets, 60 to 70 receptions with 800 to 850 yards and 8 to 10 touchdowns, potentially up to 12 touchdowns with the way that offense works. I think it is very possible that we see Cameron Brate end up as a top 5 or 6 tight end because of that. You've got a guy that can finish in that top 6 tight end range this season, and he is very cheap. Most times you can get him in between the 16th and 17th round in drafts. This is my hot take episode on Cameron Brate finishing as a top 6 tight end in the 2022 fantasy season. If you like this take, why don't you go ahead, click that playlist, bookmark it, and be ready for many more hot takes coming in the weeks leading up to the 2022 NFL season.